everyone. Welcome back to The Interval, the program where we talk, discuss, and review music-making artists from the Philadelphia area. Super excited to present to you Nicole Zell. Nicole, welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me.
Glad you're here. I understand you have a gig later on this evening?
I do, yes. This was very convenient.
That's how we like to arrange it.
It's right down the street.
Excellent. So I understand that's a residency you're doing at Autograph Brasserie
Yes.
in Wayne or
Yeah,
Devon?
yeah. So I have a residency there every week. Yeah, it's been really, really fun because it's just a great venue. It's kind of like a hard rock cafe, but in the main line, and it's very like music-centric based. And yeah, it's just a fun time. A lot of regulars come.
Oh, good.
I throw in a lot of originals, so.
Great. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So that gives me a good segue. Like, how did you end up getting that gig, right? What was the process that got you there? Do you have like an agent yourself, or were you marketing yourself to do that?
Years of playing live in the local area.
Okay.
I've worked with agents before. Right now, I'm pretty much just doing things on my own.
Okay.
And I started that way too, just booking on my own, being my own booking agent, and I'm pretty much back to that now. But I work with people here and there. It just kind of depends, but this one I forget how it happened, but it's a lot of times it's just word of mouth, playing at another restaurant or playing at another music venue, someone seeing you and asking to play at their spot. So
Right. I guess it helps to have also your own new album out.
yes, yes.
And I mean, I've listened to it. It's beautiful, well, deeply produced, lush arrangements. You wrote the whole thing yourself. It's all your own music. It's quite the journey to kind of gotten to that point. To get there, where did that all begin? Like if we want to go talk about like, let's go back.
Yep.
One of the things we like to talk about is the full reverse. If you're looking at the cassette player and you hit the replay button, let's go and rewind that tape all the way back to the beginning. Were you always musical as a kid, or is it just something that happened later on? What was the spark of all that musical journey?
I was raised in a very musically minded family. My whole dad's side were musicians. My dad played like bass, guitar, drums. My aunt sung, and they all in high school grew up playing in bands together. So then I just grew up with them playing in basement, having like band practice in my basement in my childhood home, and going to their gigs, and so it was always around.
Okay, so it's like you have like music DNA, very much so.
I guess so. Yeah, it's like I kind of didn't have a choice.
Right. Now, can you go even back further? Can you remember if there was like when you were a little kid, if there was a song that like, or a band or an artist that you always had to hear when you were young?
Yes, one of the first songs I ever remember singing over and over again as a kid, I was probably like, I don't know, 3 years old, was I Don't Want to Wait by Paula Cole.
Okay.
I don't know if you know that song.
Don't, but I'll go look
But
it up.
I feel like I grew up in like a cool Renaissance era of female singer-songwriters, like late 90s into early 2000s. There was like Alanis Morissette, Donna Lewis, Tori Amos, Vanessa Carlton, Michelle Branch. Like that's who I grew up with. And again, then also Paula Cole, and so I just remember singing that song "I Don't Want to Wait" all over, like over and over again.
Now that song's coming to mind. Yes.
It's like do 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 do. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
how
yeah,
I would
yeah,
just
yeah.
sing that over
Yes.
and over again.
You can just keep singing.
And and I remember like my family always being like, "You really like that song, don't you?" Like my aunts who sung and stuff, they're like, "Wow, she really likes that song." And funny that you asked that question because I recently am writing a song that references that song. It's very meta. It's very that's very leveled, but because I think it had such a big impact on me growing up, I didn't realize the significance of the meaning behind it. But I think it articulated what I couldn't describe as a small child, and so music always was that for me. It started out that way, and then just was always that way. I was always singing, and when I started to learn how to write words, write sentences, and first, second grade, whenever that happens, I just started writing poetry, rhymes. Like I wasn't putting anything to music yet, but I was always writing my thoughts down.
Okay.
So it's just always, I don't remember not doing it. It was always just there.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's really remarkable. When did the instruments start getting in your hands? And you're like a multi-instrumentalist. If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. I more so play guitar nowadays, but I started on piano.
Okay.
And then violin, which was painful. I wish I would have mastered that because it's such a beautiful instrument. And then guitar. And I had like a slew of teachers over the years who really did their best to teach me music theory, and I just couldn't grasp it because I play by ear. So does my whole family, and so I think we, like, unfortunately we're just not technically minded.
Right.
We just hear it and feel it, and so I would just kind of like hear something and noodle around on the keyboards or whatever. And like the first song I taught myself how to play was "1,000 Miles" by Vanessa Carlton, and I think the first song I learned on guitar was like probably an Alanis Morissette song.
Sure.
So mainly self-taught, because again it was just always around.
Right. But you're kind of listening in an era of the first major wave of female empowered rock and roll singers.
Yeah,
or,
I feel
or,
like
or
it
pop
came
singers,
back, like I think that it was like a renaissance of like a kind of a throwback to almost like the Joni Mitchells and the Stevie Nicks back in the 60s and 70s. Like I feel like it kind of, I don't know, maybe that's just because I grew up in that era, but I do think they were tapping into something similar to that era back in maybe like the 70s or whatever. I don't know. That's probably just because it's my era. That's what I grew up in.
Yeah.
So I think it's like special. But.
No, that's great. That's a personal connection.
Yeah.
Right? You gotta live with and run with that. So learning how to play and just expressing yourself as a natural outgrowth of your growth as a person, as a young person. Was it also part of your curriculum in high school and college, or if you went to college, or what happened where you were able to form the ability to be a professional at what you do?
So I was homeschooled my entire life.
Okay.
So I had a lot of spare time to just pursue musical activities on the side. That was like my extracurricular assignments, I guess. My parents, I was an only child, so my parents were very supportive and just took me around to open mics. And I mean, I started performing at probably like 12 or something, and they just took me around to open mics, and then the open mics turned into opening up for artists, and then it turned into shows, and they just were so supportive. I'm so thankful for them doing that, because they were the opposite, I think, of most parents, where they were like, don't go to college. Do this because there's no need. Now I'm like, plan B would have been nice, but I literally graduated high school a year early just to do music, because I was already doing it. I was already doing it like for my job. I was already making money from it, and so I just at the time didn't see the need to pursue higher education. I didn't really want to, so I didn't even go to school for music and like in college or anything. I just started doing it full time right out of high school.
That's a remarkably unique story. Right? Your parents are really your
Yeah.
academy of.
Yes.
And that's kind of, I guess there's some good and bad in that, right?
Yeah.
So how old were you when you did your first open mic, that kind of thing?
I was probably 12, 13.
Wow. Okay.
I think the first like show I ever did was at a community center near my hometown, and I think I was like 12 or 13. Yeah.
All right. And where were you living at this time?
I grew up in a little town called Honeybrook.
Sure.
Which is
Chester County?
Yes, it's like it's the town that Chester County and Lancaster County forgets. It's yeah.
And that's part of the shtick of this show is like, what's your connection to the Philadelphia area?
Yeah.
So you're in that outer exurb, the western exurbs. And,
yes, but like the open mics that I started playing at was like Steel City Coffee House in Phoenixville.
Okay.
Like that was just such a fun time for music in that area, and we frequented there. Would go into Philly and stuff, and so yeah. So I mean, we were always going into the Philly area for my music.
Okay. When was it when you had to do a very strange event, like very different, you're in a different setting, a big crowd, or you just, no one knew you, and it was a substantial or felt like a big show?
Probably on tour with my alternative rock band, which was some years later. It was very jarring compared to what I was used to.
Yeah. Right. So you're kind of this sheltered family existence.
Yes. Yeah.
And you're doing nice songs on mic, probably.
Yeah.
Was it some kind of religious stuff?
Yeah,
Okay.
did have a religious undertone because that's how I grew up.
Okay.
Yeah, and I wouldn't
Right.
say it was Christian, but it was definitely there was that subtle
Wholesome.
message. Yeah, there was definitely that subtle message.
Right. Because you have a wholesome look, which
Yeah.
is nice. You rock that. But you go into then you're an alternative rock band. If I remember the name was American Wolves.
American Wolves, yep.
Your parents love that. And
With guys with a bunch of tattoos and
right,
going on
as
tour
it
with
should
all
be.
these. Yeah.
I want to ask you if you have one. And so you're with the American Wolves. When did that start?
That was in 2015 that I met them and I joined that band.
Okay, so they asked you to join up.
Mm-hmm.
So your peak with American Wolves, biggest event was the Ladybug Festival.
Oh, so that was before that was before American Wolves.
That was American Wolves.
And I still play Ladybug festivals here and there, depending on the year. But yeah, so American Wolves, probably the peak was we released a single on Billboard, and it I think to this day, I think it has close to like 10 million streams or something.
Nice.
And it really blew up with like the alt rock emo community,
Yeah.
and then we went on tour. Those were the best times.
That was like the era of Paramore was top. You know,
We came definitely after that, a
Okay.
little bit after that, and then I think that was part of them why we transitioned to Thrill Chaser, which was a synth pop band. Some of the same members then formed a Thrill Chaser, and we stopped American Wolves, just disbanded American Wolves because we kind of weren't resonating with that style of music anymore as we were growing as artists. We wanted to try other things and see where it would take us. So then we formed Thrill Chaser, and then I ended up becoming the lead singer of that band for a couple of years, and we released a couple of albums underneath that band too.
I think it's really cool that you found a way to live and perform and have a career life in a place where you want to live. We've interviewed and met other artists from the area who felt like they had to go. They had to go up to Brooklyn, to do the Brooklyn scene, or go to Nashville, for example. But you felt like you didn't need to do that? I mean, like, how did you avoid that temptation to?
Yeah, there was pressure at a
escape?
time, I think, to do that, and I've traveled to those cities many times and done work there, but I feel like I can never leave this area. Like, I love it. My family's here, my friends, and truly all I need is here. Like, Philly has such a good local scene for supporting artists, and not just musicians, all kind of creatives. And I think we have a really cool niche here, and so I think it's about realigning or asking yourself, okay, what do I really want to achieve as an artist? Can I do that where I'm already at? And I think you usually can. We just think that we have to go somewhere else to find it, when it's really like you can still achieve it on some level here. But that's different for everyone. For me personally, I could make a living doing my art, and that's all I needed,
Oh, I think it's fantastic, and that's great for us who live here and want to experience and enjoy you. And it's also maybe a ray of hope for other artists who don't want to leave but feel like they may have to.
Yeah, I think also people forget that, okay, it's great that there are huge successes in the world, like the Taylor Swifts or, whoever. But what about, like, people who can't afford to pay $2,000 for a ticket? They want to go down the street and see a local performer at a cafe, at a music venue. Like, there needs to be different levels of artistry across the board. And so artists like me, that's our calling, is to fill those needs, to fill those areas. And so I would encourage people to don't try to, you don't need to attain some crazy level of success. You already have it, and be happy and fulfilled with it wherever you are.
And make a living doing it.
Yeah.
That's just a wonderful thing, and what's the necessary thing too.
Yeah.
But the key is that the audience comes to see you wherever you are. So if you love Nicole like we love Nicole, go see her. Go to her website at NicoleZell.com. Check her out. Check out her schedule, and go see her perform. You'll be supporting a great, great talent, keeping her in Philadelphia. Nicole, thank you so much for being here. We're super thrilled to have you. It's our pleasure, and we hope you enjoyed yourself too. And we look forward to tracking and watching your career, seeing you perform live, and hopefully later come back again to give us a recap of how things are progressing here at the Interval.
Thank you. I would love that, and I'm really thrilled to see what you guys are doing for local artists. So thank you guys for doing that.